Okay, we're live. Yay! Okay. Honey Wash Day. So this is the OMG She's Indigenous live show for August. And the movie that we watched was Thunderheart. And unfortunately, Kay could not be with us today because this movie triggered them. And so to anyone that was triggered by this movie, I'm so sorry. Definitely, I'm going to recite the triggers right now. We have murder. It happens within like the first, 20 seconds of the movie. Death.
Like the first 15.
Literally just boom. And then there's also just murder in general. There's lots of murders. There's talk of residential schools, racism, racial slurs, microaggressions, disturbing of religious practices, and talks about religious beliefs. Gun violence, guns, poverty, violence, and police brutality. Are there any other trigger warnings you noticed?
I mean, other than violent death, not any that kind of bounce off the top of my head.
Okay. So a little more information on this movie. It is rated R. The year it came out in April of 1992. I was not even born yet.
I was born in 97.
Oh, dang. I did not know that. So I was ahead of you. Okay. I was not born yet. It was about a month. I was still cooking.
Wow.
Yeah. I was born in May of 1992. So this is an hour and 59 minutes. The director was Michael Apted, and the cast was Val Kilmer, Graham Greene, Sheila Tousey, Sam Shepard, John Trudell, and Chief Ted Thin Elk. So that is that. And just so you know, we'll be announcing the next month's movie and the book at the very end. So just hang on for that. And then also, I wanted to talk about the fact that Indigidathon is in November, and that's like 2 months away. So definitely we have a lot. Like we just straight up had like 6 hours of accumulated conversation of all of the projects that we want to do, all the things that we want to do, and also just like random stuff. But it's going to be a fun time. And now with that, since I've been talking for 2 minutes already, we are going to tune it over to Alexis, our new co-host. Hello.
I don't know what to say about myself or really anything right now because you pretty much covered it all. But it's funny that I'm kind of co-hosting like a book club movie thing right now because I think I've been on Bookstagram for literally 3 months and like book Twitter for a week. It kind of happened pretty fast, but I'm like really excited for like the opportunity and everything.
We were talking and you were like, well, just kind of offering yourself up, and I was like, that's a good idea though.
Yeah. I was like, hey, if you like need help with what's going on, like I got it. And then you were like, hey, do you want to do this? And I was like, oh, yeah, sure, let's do it.
I come on really, really strong. I know.
No, it wasn't that, but it's like in my brain, I was like, if you want to do things and you never go for it, you're just gonna be miserable for the rest of your life.
It's very true. It's very true.
Give things a shot. Follow your dreams. Live your truth.
We still have our very large list of Adam Beach movies we're gonna watch.
Stop. This is actually an Adam Beach fan club.
Danny is watching this right now, just like, oh God.
Yeah, if Danny's watching it, please tune out and then come back in like 30
She's just like, click out, delete, please stop. So in terms of rating this book or movie, my bad, what would you like in your like 1 to 5, like 5 being the best and 1 being the worst? What would you call it?
I mean, I honestly forget almost the whole one. Maybe like a 4.5. Because I mean, I've watched this movie like a million times over the past like 6 years or whatever. And it's genuinely like one of my favorite movies, but there are movies that I've seen that are better. But there's just certain aspects that really affect there's Danny that affect the rating. for me personally. So going back to the original point, maybe like a 4.5.
Okay. I'd probably say like for me, I mean, it's always going to be like 5 for me, but like in terms of looking at it critically, it's definitely more in the like 3 because of all the stuff you see that does not hold up in 2020, but in 1982 was totally okay to say, was totally okay to write on a script. And I'm just sitting there like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's like you'll be sitting there and they'll say something and you're like, all right, moving on. If you, I swear to God,
so one funny thing that we were looking at when we were doing research into this movie is the, shall we say, native credibility into the different actors. And we had the longest fight on whether or not Val Kilmer was Cherokee or not.
Call it a fight. I would say it was more of like a very passionate discussion. But I will then follow up by saying, if Val Kilmer is Cherokee, I won't be mad because have you seen him young? Like now, like he just looks like a sweet old man. But young Val Kilmer?
In Top Gun. Specifically in Top Gun.
Specifically. Well, and I apologize to my husband who is downstairs listening to me say these things right now.
I mean,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. True. I think my husband was talking about some other person that was like, she's pretty to look at. And I was like, bro, I'm right here.
My husband never does that.
He's like, you know what I mean? And I was like, I know what you mean.
I'm like, you don't have crushes? And he's like, no, I don't have crushes. Hi, Marissa. I didn't realize my
Alrighty then. Okay, so so it starts out with the murder of you later find out that this person was a councilman. And yes. Graham Greene was there though.
Absolutely. Young Graham Greene was
we all know in my being Indigenous on BookTube, I definitely was like, and Graham Greene is just just like exposing myself all over. So it starts out with this murder and goes into a what is later called the ghost dance, and then boom, straight into 1992 civilization in Washington D.C. and it shows Val Kilmer's character Ray Lavoie driving through traffic, honking at people, and switching through the channels. And I was like, what is it with you switching through the channels? Just pick something, man. And so he goes into exactly. And so he goes into the office and his I don't know, the guy ahead of him, I don't know what he's called. The director?
Because he's federal agent. So I would say it might be the director of his division, which is a field director or something. I don't know.
And so they talk about how in his personal history that he is Lithuanian, Scotch, Irish, French, and then it says Sioux, which me personally, being Lakota, I'm just like, can y'all not? Because
can you not call me that today? Thank you.
Pretty much. I was like, just be. But I mean, Ray himself does not know exactly what he is because of his dad, and later gets into that. But it brings up the Aboriginal rights movement, and it's this whole movement that they're trying to stop because there's been murders and people dying and stuff like that. And then, so what was I going with here? Oh yeah, his director is just like, you're going in there as you are, an American Indian federal officer. And
I took so much issue with that because of the fact he didn't even identify as Native, and they're like, well, you're going to exploit what you might be to go in and completely inappropriately handle this murder because all homicides fall under federal law except tribal law. It's yes, but there's still certain respect that needs to be taken. and it just wasn't. And
which they did not at all, because oh my god. And we were just talking about this, that there are so many microaggressions in this movie, like ridiculous.
It's like not like even past microaggressions. It was just like it's aggressive.
Blatant racism.
When it comes to like the racism, it's insane because I mean one of the first you see in the first 10 minutes is Val Kilmer slamming Graham Greene's head into the ground because he's like trying to arrest him, and Graham Greene is literally like tribal police.
Hi, Brody.
But yeah, so Graham Greene's like tribal police, his head slammed into the ground, and then the federal agent behind him, he's like, "Oh, he's the sheriff," and just throws the badge and he's like, "Let's go." And I'm like,
don't like that.
It makes me feel feelings.
Angry feelings.
Oh yeah.
And something that he said when they were driving around to, gosh, I can't remember whose house it was, but they were driving around, and he says to him, talking about how those are your people, and Ray's character is just like, they are not my people, and talking about like, well, you could do some good here, and he straight up says, "Oh, hi, Kay, hi." So he straight up says, like, well, if they want to do some good, then they should clean up the garbage in their front yards. And
that made me so mad. Like,
that made me so mad because that was actually a point that was brought up. She's like, I'm going to get up right up in your face and tell you exactly why this makes me angry. Go.
Basically, and also I'm like 5'0" and my computer's super, so like, I'm trying. But I'm so angry. Because it's like, this is systemic poverty. They don't have storage sheds in their backyard. Like, it's not going to be like the suburban neighborhood you see, like in the city. It's not going to be that. It's the rest. Like, come on. Don't be stupid. I'm fine. It's fine. But
that was also something that was brought up
about white people who leave their front yards looking like garbage.
We know, I mean, I know some people like that. I mean, literally, like, right across the road, somebody's got, like, 2 cars there. And that's not allowed, but...
I knew people that turned my parents' neighborhood, like, their yard, into, like, a junkyard for cars. And it might have been the people who rented our house.
My family's yard was a junkyard, but that's because we lived out in the country, and my pops didn't give a heck. But it was also super fun.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously. I mean, if I would have been able to like crawl over used cars, like junk cars and stuff as a kid, I would have been unstoppable. But I'm like, my parents' neighborhood is like middle of like country suburbia. And so I'm like, it doesn't make sense but whatever.
And then something that really bothered me, I'm sure bothered you, was that as they're driving further into, like, out into the road, when they're stopped by the goons, the Guardians of the Oglala Nation, you know, it was that checkpoint where, like, they're just, hi, Andrea.
Well, hello.
Sorry. I just segue into it, but so you see the parts where people are like thrashed around and their belongings are like strewn about. Like, that just made me so angry because there were like young people and innocent people, and that's just yet again like another way that we've been brutalized as a people.
Yeah,
just no.
Because there's like no respect, because it's shown as, okay, these people are basically just savages that we put in homes on land, and we're not going to fund them. We're not going to give them, you know, healthy food. We're not going to give them any opportunities to get out. They have to make those ways themselves. And so it's been like that for years. And it's really terrible, because when you watch a movie like Thunderheart, you see what the thought process is on the other side from people like federal agents and the way they feel about Native people, and especially Native people on the res, because there's a dehumanization there, and like on a very like on a cellular level almost, and it's ridiculous, and that entire scene just makes me really angry.
I think we both felt really angry during this whole movie, just the amount of things that happened.
The theme of the movie, anger.
Just so like they also showed that, I thought that was really important, where they show it becomes like a theme of the movie, where they show like when Kutel turns on the water and you just see like the brown water like splurting out.
Yeah.
And then also what really, really made me angry was when they were trying, like, just automatically pinning it on John Trudell's character, James Looks Twice. And fun fact, James Looks Twice, his character is actually based off of Leonard Peltier. I am like distantly related to Leonard Peltier, so like to see James Looks Twice. What?
I said when your cousins are famous.
Literally, I don't like to really talk about it that much, because usually people are all like no, you're not, and I'm like, yes, I am. I cannot tell you exactly how.
You want to see the questionable paperwork, because I don't have it.
Literally. And then so to see him be treated that way just made me so upset. And like, but also my brain was like, James Looks Twice, he looks like somebody's uncle that got a ton of snags. Like, straight up. I was like, okay.
I'm not saying I would have, but he could. Just saying. You know when you don't have anything else to do?
I literally.
You end up shacked up, so you gotta be careful.
Well, yeah. I think my favorite part of that though, where after he was treated like absolute crap, is when the badger bites Kutel. Like, that's my mom's favorite part.
That just makes me so happy.
Just
nature fun fact.
What kind of idiot just reaches their hand into a hole? Like, have you done that?
Right under a house. Like, I won't do that personally anywhere. My aunt will be like, hey, go reach under the house. And I'm like, negative. Look, Michelle and I thought we were related for like a solid hour the other night we were talking. But then we just found out that the very distinctive feature between our grandfathers is that mine was 6'9" and her grandfather was like 5'8". And we were like, we got that close.
We were sorely disappointed, but we're claiming each other anyway.
We're cousins in spirit.
Yes, we are. And so James Looks Twice gets away because he runs, and man, like, and then it's something that also they talk about, where they talk about like shape shifting and how there are some people that can turn into different creatures, and like that was always a thing where it's like a subtle thing where it's like, yeah, he can actually turn into this or that. Like, I've heard stories about that. Have you?
No.
Oh.
I have not. So you're telling me new things. But my brain says I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I've heard stories about like women where they're like, people will see people walking at night and then they turn around and then like a creature walks across the road.
No.
Yeah.
See, and that theme actually was, I'm gonna like go off a little path here, but that theme was really present in The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. With that whole kind of like legend and ideal thing. And that's one thing that creeps me out. Mine's downstairs. I would show my copy, but it's far away.
I just filmed a video so that it was right here.
Oh, driving distance.
And then my brain, like, one thing that I like to think about for movies, I don't know if it's the same for you, but my brain was like, I wonder if they use the actual Pine Ridge police for this.
That See, I kind of find myself thinking about that as well, because I mean, I told you whenever we kind of discussed this that I did the film school thing for a hot second. And so after that, it kind of ruined how I watch movies because I watch it from a very analytical stance. So I find myself having those same thoughts. And I'm like, how accurate is this? What did they use from this area that was accurate? Where did they film? Blah, 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 blah.
How do you pronounce that, Kim? Because I don't know how to pronounce it, and I don't want to try. I always butcher things, literally. Like I was trying to pronounce David. I was trying to pronounce his tribe, and I was sitting there for like 10 minutes, like bleh. I'm just.
Look, I can barely pronounce things in my own language, and so when I type them and people are like, "Can you read that to me?" I just go, "No," and then just keep what I'm doing.
See, I know how to pronounce things in Lakota, and so when I try to pronounce things in like other native languages that don't use the same
like the
dialect
same
or the same accentation, I'm just sitting there like, oh my god, this sounds horrible. I'm so sorry.
What you doing? Buddy, do not. You're getting way too close to the computer.
Is her kitty being a butt?
Yeah, Basil's doing her thing where she's just trying to cause trouble, and it's driving me insane. I done told you. Okay, now she's just sitting next to me, so that's fine.
So we have after the shootout, he goes to Maggie. Oh gosh, Maggie. Do you remember her whole name?
I will tell you in like 4 seconds because I just had it pulled up because I had a point about her.
Was it Maggie Eaglefeather?
I think it's Eaglefeather because I know the first part of her last name is Eagle. I think it's Eaglefeather.
That's the character that Maggie plays. She plays. She's based on Anime Aquash, the highest ranking in the American Indian movement, and she was murdered in 1975, unfortunately. Yeah. But Eagle Bear, there we go. Thank you, Danny. Danny for the win.
Danny always comes through.
Seriously, she's the best.
Around.
Nothing's gonna ever break you down. Yeah. Sorry. Anyway. So, but they're having this conversation, and you can clearly see that there's total animosity between Maggie and Ray.
I mean, the way that Maggie just straight up starts grilling him as soon as he walks to the door, and she goes, "Oh, they sent you because you're American Indian," and then she just starts like, "What's your nation? What's your tribe? Who are your relations?" And he's sitting there and he goes, "Does it really matter?" And she goes, "Oh, it matters more than you think." And he goes, "My nation."
Oh, Grandma's very traditional. And then he does the thing about, oh, well, maybe you can have her explain this. And she straight up goes off on him. She's like, "You asshole." And then she talks about how she got a degree from Dartmouth and she came back to help her people. And she just grills him hard. And I was like,
girl, I support you. Put him in his place. I mean, and it's really important for like Native women and children and like younger women or really anyone to see like strong Native characters like that and see yourself represented, because it shows you that you're like allowed to be that way. Like you don't always have to be like quiet about it, you know?
Sorry, I made you a little like just right here, but I wanted to highlight that comment for a second.
No, it's fine.
Okay. And one thing that I noticed about this movie is that in the way that the movie like takes preconceived notions and those really bad microaggressions and attempts a little bit to prove them wrong or to educate in some way.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting how they kind of used like stereotypes to play into the education aspect of it, because it took it as something that makes you angry because you're sitting here and you're an objective party watching people be treated this way, and you're like, that shouldn't happen. People should never be treated that way. And so when you get angry about stuff like that, you get fired up. It makes you want to learn how to be better. And so I find that they kind of really capitalized on the anger makes people learn aspect of things. I feel like I'm rambling.
No, we're not rambling. We are perfect. We are perfectly on par right now. So, after he goes to visit Maggie, he there's this where he's driving and he gets stopped by Officer Crowhorse.
Mm-hmm.
Remember this part where you get stopped and he's like, you were going 55 or you were going 59 and a 55, and talks about how like the spirits wanted to, he's like 59, nail him. That was my favorite. Before the traditionals do, and talking about how like they're gonna get you.
Oh yeah.
And one thing that he said that I found that was very important was that he said, you guys are the second coming to the same old cavalry.
Literally. So many good quotable moments. Honestly.
I quoted so hard. But also Soren was being a butt while I was watching this. So I was trying real hard.
I mean, I was in bed and the cats were like walking all over me. So that's kind of what I've got for you. But when I watched it, it had been like the first time in 4 years that I had seen it.
For me, it was like the first time.
I don't remember this. Something new every single time.
Exactly. And also a lot of Lakota is spoken in this movie. And so only like this much out of the like this much did I actually understand. And
really?
There was a part,
this is my education level and this is the depth of the movie.
This is how much was spoken. This is how much I understand.
I mean, but it still feels good to like hear your own language and different.
Exactly. The Chief Ted Thin Elk, who plays Grandpa Sam Reaches, he actually spoke a lot of Lakota. And so like I would be listening to that and I would be like something heart, something boy, something. That is like that was the limit of how much I would.
I'm like, as long as there's a context clue I can follow, but as soon as you break away from that context clue, I'm like, oh, here we go.
And
Michelle is a lot more prepared than I am because she took like 3 notebooks full of notes, and then I just have.
I mean, not necessarily. It's like I had this, and then I have that because I did not have. Like, I only gave myself a page. I did not have enough, so I had to like make room.
Ooh, yeah, I agree. I like that.
I haven't read it yet, but
I haven't read it. Oh, I listened to the audiobook when it first came out, and the audiobook is really, really good. You should give it a shot.
I will try. I'm not really great at audiobooks, which is funny because you like audiobooks, and I'm like bad at listening to them.
It's called balance.
It really is. So Grandpa Sam Reaches talks about where he talks about this vision that he had of a man that was like struggling to breathe and he had bad breath and stuff like that. Oh, Brody is scolding me. I'm so sorry. I'm trying.
Listen to Brody. We will peer pressure you into it. Annotated version sounds cool.
Oof, nice. But I'm gonna keep that comment up there because I know Brody is gonna just. I haven't read Wilder Girls either, and Brody loves Wilder Girls, so.
I also haven't read Wilder Girls, so I apologize.
Brody's like, I can't with you. I'm done. I'm out. Bye. Later.
Brody's gonna bully group chat later.
So, Grandpa Sam Reaches tells him that he comes from like brave people and like strong people, and it sounds like he's actually Minikojusu from what he says, and one thing that I really enjoyed, which we're actually getting into a very like scary part of the movie where a little like there's a shootout and a little boy is shot. So that was really scary for me as a parent.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't looked at it that way before. Like I watched it like a year ago and I didn't really think about it, but now that like Soren is older, I was like
yeah, I mean, I can imagine like as a parent watching someone else's child get shot. It really puts you in that headspace to start thinking about what you would do if it was like your own child. And
there was a part where at my mom group we actually got an education on like tourniquets and like wound packing and stuff like that. So I have an idea of what to do, and I'm actually fairly okay in crisis, but like usually after the fact where I was like, oh, I should have done this.
I mean, this is like completely off topic and inappropriate, but still in the scene. But when Val Kilmer rips his tie off to like be a tourniquet, I'm just like,
okay, sir.
I guess. Okay, thank you. A little snack for my eyes. That's all I had to say on that. Please continue with what you were saying.
So, he brings it back. He brings a box of groceries to Maggie and Grandma's place, and Grandma goes into this thing about I can't remember exactly what she says, and then she asks her to come in for a cup of wakalapi, which is like coffee or tea, and so he comes in and they're sitting there, and he talks about like, this is my job, and she's like, you don't have to do this, and he talks about, I can't remember, he said something, but he ticked her off because, she's like, you want to do good, and she's like, how about, she brings out this entire stack of files where she was like, these were all the protesters, these were all the people that are in arm that were killed and never investigated, and she completely schooled his ass, and he totally deserved it.
He said, I came here with receipts today since you decided you want to do this.
I love when she picked that one up and she was like, oh, you don't want this one. Somehow he got blah, blah, blah in the back of the head. And she just, like, girl, you go off. Like, dang, you.
I mean, it's insane.
You brought it today.
Yeah. At no point ever was like, I'm going to play with you today. She was like, I have time. Don't think I don't.
And she's a school teacher.
I love her.
I love the fact that she played so many roles. Like, she was a school teacher as well. And there's a part where it was earlier where when they're looking for James Looks Twice, and they like rip apart the entire school, and you see like these little kids with their heads on their desks, and like the officers are like tipping chairs over and breaking stuff. And
it's so excessive the way they went through that scene and kind of destroyed the school. Like, you never need to do that at any point. You're just like throwing your power around so you can show that you can terrify people, because apparently that makes you feel good. And it's the whole way that it's handled is just disgusting.
I agree. And so and then he brought up her past and what had happened to her. And I was just like, why did you have to bring that up?
Like, don't bring it up. Just leave it alone. Let it lie.
And so he looks out the window and he sees a couple of cars coming, and there's like a millisecond where he jumps up and he knocks her down to the ground, and she's like, what are you doing? And then boom, like all the gunshots start going off, and she's like trying to protect her kids, and I was just like in the lurch, like holding my breath, and then Hobart is like reaching for his little toy, and Ray tells him to get down, and then that's what happens.
Hurts my feelings.
Literally, I just was like, my heart jumped out of my chest.
Yeah,
when it happened. And so they go to the hospital, and once they arrive at the hospital, the two vehicles that were involved in the shootout show up at the hospital,
And then Val Kilmer proceeds to whoop some ass.
Whips their ass. Absolutely knocks the shit out of them.
Beautiful thing to see, because he kind of like he realizes the racism that they face, because it's obviously like a group of white guys that did this, and they just like shot up their house and did this, and they came to finish the job, and Val Kilmer was like, "Let me tell you how it's gonna be," and then he just waylaid them, and I'm just like,
well, you even hear the bone snaps.
Oof, makes my skin crawl, but I mean, it's so satisfying.
Well, because like you just see like all of the stuff all over his shirt, and he's just like smacking these dudes into the truck, and
that's like my favorite version of vigilante justice, when someone just like bounces somebody's head off a truck, and I'm just like, do it again, again.
And I love the fact that she sees the fact that they show up, and she's like looking out the window.
Yeah.
And also my like brain, and the dumbest part, like it's the most serious part, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, how hot was this 1992 summer? Like, dang, they sweated profusely.
Girl, it's like a 2020 Louisiana summer. I cannot. But I agree with that comment.
Me too, because he's like, oh, there's no beds. Like, what happened? Like,
my mom worked with IHS for a while, and it's ridiculous.
Like, how could you not just like try to like jump up to help? Like, how hard was that? How hard is that? And it's also a really big reflection on the way that Natives and people of color are treated in like hospitals, which is also a very big point.
It's terrifying to see the reality of it, and the fact that nothing has changed. I mean, that movie was made in 92, and it's based off of like, you know, things that were going on in 1970. It's never changed. I mean, there are some doctors that, you know, take into account like, hey, you're a person. You need to be treated like a person, just like anybody else who would walk into the hospital would be treated. And then you get other doctors that are like, oh, well, Black women have a pain tolerance that's like 10 times higher, so they don't need pain meds. And then it ends up being medical malpractice because they die because of negligence. And it's terrible. It's one of those things that really just like lights a fire under me, and I get just like, burn the world down.
Well, I was even treated crappy at my hospital when I had Soren. So like seeing the way that the doctor treated the whole movie just makes you angry, because like some of this stuff just not hold up.
Exactly. I mean, it honestly even carries over into like other careers. Like my tattoo artist, when I got my first tattoo, my dad was talking, and my dad's like, yeah, we're Native, like this, that, and this. And he goes, oh, you're Native? He was like, oh, I got to pack more ink into your skin. And my ankle is like all scarred up, and it hurts sometimes still. And it's just ridiculous. And that was like almost 5 years ago.
Exactly. And then, so after that, I think he goes and he has to watch out for Grandpa Sam after this, to like, because the arm leaders go to them for like ceremony and to get like religious practices and treatment. And I laughed because there was this part where he's watching Grandpa Sam after he gets done pumping water, and he watches him just struggle to get the bucket.
He doesn't move. He just watches him, and it's like, dude, seriously?
Well, he watches him like the first couple of times, and then as soon as it starts to get to the third time, he sighs and he just runs over there to help him out.
Yeah.
I also love the fact that the res puppy, you remember the res puppy?
Yeah.
He gave him his milk. That was cute.
He's nice sometimes. We'll give him that.
Yeah, at least there was a puppy involved.
Look. Puppies.
And then so off Walter Crowhorse picks up Grandpa and they go over to the powwow. And let me tell you, I was like living out my dreams watching that powwow scene because there's no powwows this year because of COVID. And I was just like,
yeah, I'm so sad about that. I was talking to my husband the other day. We were sitting there and he looked at me. He goes, "Why do you look sad?" And I said, "Because I just bought powwow lemonade, okay?"
oh my gosh, yes.
He looked at me and he was like, "Okay. Happy Jimmy."
The literal amount of powwow lemonade I wish I could have. Like just a big lemonade with like ice and
It's
Alexis is just like, stop talking about it.
I want it. Also, I want fry bread that I didn't make because
I want fry bread too. Kim, send us fry bread.
I love fry. I love cleaning up after I make fry bread. So that's why.
If I ever get over to Kim's house, I'm probably gonna crash there and eat a lot of fry bread.
Pack me in your suitcase, even though I have to fly to you to go to Kim's. So.
Aw, I got new regalia mocks made for my jingle dress this December. Sad face. For real.
I'm so sorry, Danny. I mean,
I bet they look really good.
I miss powwows. Like, I just miss the feeling of community and like the camaraderie and just being surrounded by people who are like you. And just like powwow too. I just love it. I miss it. Can you not? Did you hear my husband?
No, what'd he say?
He goes, "Does it make you feel powerful?" The puns this man makes. But yes, Brody, I agree. Gonna be gathering of nations.
Literally, at some point, she'll just be like, you guys need to go home now."
Kim's gonna be
actually, no, he probably wouldn't say that. Yeah, okay. And then, so while they're there at the powwow, I love the fact that they bartered because that's a big thing in Native communities where we barter for our things.
I will stay forever. Please don't play with me.
Literally.
Michelle and I will move in. We'll share. Fine.
Calvin will be like, "Where'd you go?" And I'll be like, "I'm at Kim."
Should I be worried? And I'll be like, "At Kim's fry bread. Bye." I feel so bad for all the kids that missed out on like their first year of dances and stuff. I mean, my parents never put me in powwow dances, and I was like, that's fine. That's fine with me.
I was making Soren some grass dance regalia, and I was like, well.
Oh, Soren's gonna be a grass dancer?
I mean, my cousin Kalijah was a grass dancer, and my uncle's kids were all girls except for two of them. One of them didn't dance at all, and then one of them was a grass dancer. And then the four girls, they were hoop dancers and jingle dress dancers.
I wish I could.
Unless I decide to make him a shawl, and then he's a fancy dance dancer.
It's so good.
Fancy dance.
I love it. Anyway, we're off topic.
Well, it is on topic because we are talking about powwows.
You're right. Okay, so never mind. We're still on topic. We can continue this conversation.
We're still there. But you also see like the traditionalists and like you see Arm just kind of in the background. There's a moment where Ray looks over at Officer Crowhorse, and you just see like a bunch of Arm traditionalists in the background.
Yeah.
Just they're all staring at him. It's like, you're here.
It's like, why are you here, first of all? But I mean, like
Maggie and her kids. I didn't realize how many kids she had.
Honestly, for some reason, it never, until I watched it like 2 days ago, it never clicked that Maggie had more than one kid. And even then, I was like, oh, wait, that was Maggie's kid.
She had like 4 kids, I think.
So many kids.
But like, they were all cute, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay when they're cute.
Yeah.
Like, your favorite ones will always be the bad ones with the silver teeth. Can I have a Pepsi? Pepsi.
also. Yeah.
I don't know.
And then the movie kind of escalates in a way because he goes to there's a really important scene where he goes to Grandpa Sam Reach's, and it's at night, and he goes there and there's a bonfire happening, and there's a bunch of like members that are there, and Grandpa Sam throws some things into the fire, and he experiences a vision of like when he was a kid, and like there's a part with his dad and like his past, and like because his dad was an alcoholic. So I mean, I'm kind of glad that they touched on that a little bit, but at the same time, like, some of it was like unexplained.
Yeah, they just kind of left it up for interpretation, and it was like, if you can figure this out, congrats. If not, suffer.
And I also told him that he had to go to Red Deer Table.
Yeah.
Multiple times. And then there was that really funny part but it wasn't funny at the time. Like, it's kind of funny when Ray, he goes off and he's like distressed, and Crowhost is like trying so hard. He's like, what's wrong? And he's like trying to be his friend. And like, then
we're gonna be friends, guys.
Literally he like pushes him, and then you hear remember when you hear Grandpa Sam where he's just like, knock it off.
Background, like stop, but also I'm not getting up to stop y'all, so
well, it's like, we found like a couple of old women. That was my favorite. That was so funny.
There's just like, it's kind of a nuanced take on it. You can see like your elders and your grandparents in the movie whenever you watch like Grandpa Sam and all the older women, and it just makes me so happy because I'm like just unbothered.
And him being like, and then Ray is like, he speaks English, and Crowhorse is just like, only when he's really pissed off. And then Grandpa Sam is like, come inside and watch Mr. Magoo.
Grandpa Sam's like, yes, I was dicking with you this entire time. What are you gonna do? Because I think he was really working under like the impression that Ray was like, he doesn't speak English, so I can say whatever I want. And then Grandpa Sam was like, so what were you saying? I don't know. It's just funny to me.
It was great. But also something that happened that when he was on the way back to Coutel's, what was it, like a hotel that they were staying in?
I think it was more like a motel, not like kind of like a roach motel kind of thing.
I don't really know the difference. What's the difference between a hotel and a motel?
So the difference between a hotel and a motel, like a motel, you can pay by the hour if you want. Like a hotel, you have to pay by the night and like the day. But and like motels are definitely a little more accessible for people with like on the lower end of the income spectrum because they're generally pretty cheap. But the thing is that the standard that they're held to is so much lower because it's like, oh, poor people stay here. Well, we're just gonna keep it gross. Like you could probably go to any motel in your town and find bloodstains somewhere. They don't really clean very well.
We used to have a motel, but now it's like abandoned.
There's a haunted motel up in like northern Louisiana, like in Tallulah or whatever, and it reminds me of Bates Motel.
I've heard of that. Wait, I think I heard of. There's one in Louisiana that's like haunted. It is haunted, but wasn't that the one that's like?
Are you talking about the Myrtles? That's not a hotel. The Myrtles is a plantation.
No,
I'm not there ever. I don't like driving past it.
I'm talking about. I don't know. Shane and Ryan stayed in it.
Oh, you're talking about the one down in New Orleans.
Maybe.
Like off of Bourbon Street or whatever.
There's also one that, okay, what about the one that Zach Bagans stayed in with the, is that one also in?
I love that you think I watch Ghost Adventures. I stopped watching Ghost Adventures after that one episode where they were in Arizona and I think they were dealing with like the Hopi tribe or whatever, and the elders, and they were just being really disrespectful. And then they got rocks thrown at them, and one cracked him in the head, and I laughed my ass off, and then I stopped watching it. It's like in the first season or something.
I watched like season 13.
Yeah, so that episode, they're like underground in the caves, and it's like a burial site, so they're like remains and stuff, and there are gates up so you can't touch them, but they're like throwing rocks and screaming at the remains and like basically messing with the spirits. And I'm like, when y'all get yourselves screwed up, I'ma laugh. And then they get hit in the head with rocks.
Well, they've definitely had a lot of bad stuff happen to them, but this is not about them. So as he's driving back, there's a 6-car blockade by the goons. And my thought was like, what threat could possibly be driving through at like 8 or 9 o'clock at night?
Honestly.
Like they had their guns pointed, and some guy like was like, get out, and then he holds like the whole thing that he's a federal agent, and that was, they were like, oh, sorry. But it's like, damn, who are you waiting for?
Like, what's happening here? Why are we blocking the street? Who's here? What do I need to know so I can go home?
Well, it's at that point you just have to be like, so and so is at this end. Don't go there.
Yeah, like warn someone. I don't know.
It was bad.
Yeah.
But then after that, he goes to visit Maggie because he finds. Remember, they found the car.
Yeah.
That the guy was murdered, like running away from.
Mm-hmm.
So they find the car, and he finds a jacket, and inside of the jacket there's this red raffle ticket, and he takes it and he like puts it in his pocket. Yeah. And he goes to Maggie to find out more information on that, and she's taking samples of the water.
Yeah. Because she's like, something's not right here. And I mean,
and you saw the water. It was like gross.
Like lead poisoning and chemical. I completely lost my train of thought as soon as I said that.
The gross water with the chemical. Because Grandma had said that the water is gross and that the kids are getting sick.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes me mad that environmental racism is even a thing. Like, everyone deserves clean water, shelter, food, but they're like, I'm sorry, you can't have that. Sorry about it.
Because they have to go all the way to Rapid City to get water. And Rapid City, I think, is like an hour away from Pine Ridge. I'm an hour or two at least, I think.
That's excessive.
It takes like 8 hours to drive from here to Rapid City. It's far away.
That makes me feel feelings. And I'm not good.
And then, then him and Maggie talk, and then he brings up the fact that his dad was an alcoholic, and he talks about his dad, and he's like, I understand that I had a father, but like, this is what happened.
Yeah.
And what?
I was going to say that I feel like that's an experience you see a lot of, because it goes into that like systemic oppression, where, I mean, if you keep people drugged or supplied with their drug of choice, the cycle won't break. And that it's a lot of generational trauma that you see in the movie, especially with Ray's character. And it's just, it's hard to watch. Because, I mean, especially when you have your own generational trauma in your own family, it's hard to see someone else go through it.
Absolutely. And then, how about every time he would like he fell asleep or like took a nap, where he would experience visions?
Grandpa Sam. Gotta love him.
Just getting all up in there.
He was like, you're going to figure this out. And you're either going to die of sleep deprivation or you're going to put that.
Well, because it starts to get more serious, and it touches on the Wounded Knee Massacre, and there's a scene where he is running.
I did love that quote as well.
Me too.
Because it's like,
how I like this paper.
When you think about it, a lot of things in life are just paper. And it's the concept that's behind them that's giving them power. But I mean, when you shred it, it doesn't exist anymore. Like, have fun digging through the shredder to piece that back together.
Because as the movie goes on, you see the way that Ray has changed from his, like, they're not my people, they just have garbage in the front yard, to
his
like
character development and like his reconnection, I would say. The funny thing is that his reconnection happened so fast, and I'm like, there's so much work that goes into it. But excuse me, but I really liked Ray's character development, because they could have just kind of given up and kept him as they're not my people, I'm just here to do my job. And it grows into him being like, these are my people, this is my culture, this is what we're gonna do to help them. I don't know, it's just really nice.
Yeah, that was great. And then so they also talk about he's running, like he's running in the field with all of these women and children, and the cavalry is on the horse and running after him, and then he wakes up.
Yeah.
Right before he can see like the name that's in the grass.
Yeah.
So yeah. So he wakes up, and then after that he goes to Grandpa Sam's house, and boom, James Looks Twice is just sitting there chilling.
He's like, I've been here the whole time, bro.
Literally. My favorite quote. Well, technically it's like the house is a super small trailer, so it's like bedroom, living room, kitchen.
It's like a studio apartment in a trailer, basically. It's not that hard.
I wouldn't even say it's that. It's more like a literal, like, super teeny tiny. So Ray completely, like, 360 changes, and he's like, you can't be here, you gotta go, you gotta leave, you gotta run away. And something that he said that like really stuck with me is because it stands up in 2020 when he said, sometimes they have to kill us. They have to kill us because they can't break our spirit.
Yeah. And that's a quote from the movie that has genuinely like carried over like through generations. I love that you're drinking a Dr. Pepper right now. Like just through generations and across decades, like it's still true, because I mean people just they try and it doesn't work, and so they're like, well, only one way to deal with that. And it sucks, but it's the truth,
Exactly. I 1000% agree, because I like the guy who plays James Looks Twice, John Trudell, he's actually a poet, and so you can find like a lot of his poetry and like the things that he said over the years. He is so influential. Like, I'm so sad. I was so sad when I found out he passed away.
Yeah.
A few years ago.
I remember when I found that out, and I was like, how you just what? Because there are certain people that should live forever, in my opinion.
I mean, I just remember sitting there for like a good 10 minutes, just like, why?
Yeah, like why? Well, like why John Trudell? Give me a 13-page single-space essay on why this person.
And then just when they're starting to get to that point where Ray is like gonna accept the pipe, the FBI just breaks in, and you hear the helicopter, and they start like totally unnecessary police brutality where they knock Literally, he had his hands up. He was unarmed, and the FBI agent just smacks him in the kidney and then smacks him in the knee. He ends up falling on Grandpa Reach's and then falling down on the TV, and the TV gets broken. And
it definitely goes into like that whole police brutality thing, because there's no respect. And they're like, oh, you're doing this. We're here for this person. It's like, okay, what about the people in the house? What about the way you could treat them like people? Because the way you come off is how you're received. I mean, you're on tribal land. You technically have no jurisdiction. You literally have no power there. Like, no think intensifies. Worms.
like, you're there because they invited you, basically.
Exactly. Like, there was an invitation, you accepted, and now you're here, and you're basically like, it's like you inviting someone to stay at your house, and then they just like leave trash.
Eat all the chips.
Yeah, basically, just destroy your home and then go, all right, have a good time. Leaving.
Bye. Yeah. I mean, like the whole movie, it just made me angry on the way that he was treated. He was unarmed and he's beaten to the ground. And then what really pissed me off, and it's just yet another example of the way that the government treats us and our property and our religious teachings. And
take a deep breath. Deep breath.
Sorry.
You're good. You're good. You're in a safe space. It's
so
fine.
Like, just yet another way that we're treated like absolute shit. They took the rattle out of Grandpa Sam's hand, like 100-year rattle. I think it was like 300 years old or something like that. But they take it and they stomped on it.
I'd have gone to jail for assault on a police officer. I would have started swinging, girl. Yeah.
Well, because Ray was just like, leave them alone. He has literally no part in this.
Like, he's just an old man. Let him be. Do what you got to do, and leave everybody else alone. And it's just ridiculous.
That noise. Literally, that noise is how I felt. Aww, kids. I'm so sorry, and that's so sad that you had to explain that to your kids.
That makes me so sad. I can't imagine having to, like, whenever Sam and I eventually have children, like, having to explain certain things to them, because the way that they kind of go through life is going to be so different than the way, like, I was able to go through life, or really, a lot of other people will, because they're going to be so noticeably brown, whereas, like, clearly I am not. And it makes me sad to think about the fact that people have to explain things like that to their children. And, children of color have to learn at like 4 that the world's not going to treat you the way they treat everybody else.
Yeah, that's really difficult. I'm so sorry that you had to explain that to your kids, Kim. Oof. That's a lot.
That's a lot, indeed.
Well, Soren's going to have it a little bit easier because he's white passing, but at the same time, it's not going to be easy for him because he has long hair. And
yeah, people are going to give him shit about his hair for the longest time.
Yeah, I'm going to punt all those kids into the next plan.
I mean, if I need to, Auntie Lexi will come up there and start swinging on people.
I just have to sick my dad on them.
There you go. I love that, Kim. That's such a great way to kind of...
you're amazing.
Teach your parents, teach your children about things. I want to be a mom like Kim when I grow up.
Seriously.
I
have his goals.
Honestly.
I just read your text.
Look, I said what I said, okay?
We can take a momentary moment.
I'm gonna be right back.
Okay. I'll just keep talking. Alrighty. Hi. So, yeah. If you're down in the comments, She had to go do something really quick. She'll be right back. So I'm just gonna ask you a couple questions. If you, yeah, literally, if anybody makes fun of my kids, I will literally punt them into the next planet. Like I had to go through that as a kid, and so as an adult, I don't tolerate it. I won't tolerate it from other kids. Like I will straight up sit down with that kid, and I'll be like, "Why do you think that it's okay to talk to my son like that? Why do you think it's okay for you to say that to other people just because you hear that from your mom or you hear that from your dad or from whoever does not make it okay to say that out loud. Like, I don't care. I will invite that kid over and I'll be like, listen, if you ever do this again, I promise you, I will make it really hard for you in life. Not right now, but at some point in your life, you're going to wish that you never did that. But that's just me as a parent, because like some people are just like, oh, I just wanted to be water under the bridge. Well, for me, I hold a lot of that stuff. So we're gonna be angry people for just a good old second. So for those of you, yeah, literally, don't mess with mama bears. So anybody who's seen the movie, what would you say that was like your like a favorite part or something that? Hi, I was gonna ask the people what their favorite part was.
Please tell us, because I think I've run out of words in my brain. Maybe I'm not really sure.
Well, I'm not. We're like, this is like 20 minutes to the end of the movie, so I kind of wanted to get a little bit of like, let us know your thoughts so we can talk about them.
Time to like re-go through the dictionary of words in my brain.
Well, because I watched it today, so I still have like the thoughts really fresh in my mind.
I'm proud of you for that. I was so busy today.
Well, I told you notes. So many notes. Then
one thing.
What?
I said I have one line of notes. That's it. That's all I did.
I have many lines. Okay, so after the FBI raid, he goes to Richard Yellowhawk. Yeah, I think he goes to Richard Yellowhawk's house and confronts him because he finds out that through Maggie's note, he finds out that he was the one that was his jacket, that was his car, that was his raffle ticket. And so he goes to Richard's house to confront him, where he finds
about that scene.
What?
I want to talk about that scene where he was talking about, because I don't really spoil the movie for anyone who hasn't seen it. But like I also want to talk about like a really important part when he finds out Richard.
Why don't you type it in the private chat and then we'll go in there. Yes.
Okay. So we talked about this the other day, and Michelle texted me and she said, "I wonder how many like of the times Graham Greene flipped Val Kilmer off were like real." And I said probably 98% of them. 1 or 2 were scripted, but the majority of them were just actual feelings.
I love that comment though. Like how Graham Greene was all pouty in the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
That was cute.
Graham Greene is
just trying so hard to be friendly, like for once.
It's like the thing, you just want to be friends, and they're like,
where he just pushes Pro Horse, and then they're like arguing.
It's like siblings, literally. It's like, we're supposed to go together. Like, leave me alone. It's literally like, Mom said you have to take me, and it's like, wish I didn't.
I had to take my little brother to a movie of She Who Must Not Be Named when we went. And I was like, I don't want to take him. He's 2 and he's annoying.
Look, so it used to be like when I would hang out with my friends, my parents were always like, you need to take your sister with you. Storm needs to go. And then now, you love her. That's my best friend, Ivy, by the way.
Hi, best friend.
Hi. But now it's at the point where I want to hang out with my sister and I want to go do things with her. And I asked her, I was like, oh, your birthday party's tonight? I want to go. And she goes, I don't want you at my birthday party. You're like 23 and married and like grown, and my friends are 20. I'm like, I'm 3 years older than you. What does that mean? Mom said you have to let me go. And then she told me no, and I was sad.
What a butthole.
She's not a butthole. She's the best. But I was butthole behavior.
Well, my sister would definitely, like, she would at least try to invite me, but like her scene and my scene are completely different, and I acknowledge that. And so usually, like, I'm just like, have fun, I love you, stay safe, bye.
That's pretty much what I do now. And I'm just like, you could at least, though, extend an invite at some point.
Oh, okay. I mean, the twist.
Yeah, okay, I was like, what happened? And then I realized it was me. I happened.
Well, I was getting to that. I mean, it's been, okay, listen, it's been out since 1992. If you haven't watched it, I think that's on you.
So we're going to talk about it. If this spoils, I'm sorry, but that I'm not
Spoilers for a twist. If you haven't seen this movie and you care about spoilers, click away. You can watch it later once you've seen the movie. The whole point was to watch the movie so we could be here and talk about this. But the thing is, if you haven't seen it and you're just here for support, you can click away if you care about spoilers. But if you don't, stay.
If you don't care about spoilers, I hope you enjoy your time here.
I care sometimes about spoilers when it's like TV shows because I want to be excited, especially if there's more than like one season. But if it's not, then I don't care. You know, like if it's a movie from like 1998 and you're like, oh yeah, so-and-so dies, I'm like, well, at least now I know.
At least Kim's here for the spoiler party.
Yay! Alrighty. Well, I'll leave that up since we're talking about when I put this comment down.
That's a spoiler warning.
Spoiler
if you
warning.
If you're like late and you see this, just leave. Just go. Come back.
So he goes to Richard's house and confronts him about Meg, you'd be surprised how many people have never seen this movie. So he goes to Richard's house to confront him about the raffle ticket, and he's like, so you can just let me know what happened and maybe I can do a deal for you. And he tells him, like, you guys told like 3 suits. That's all I know him. And you guys told me I never had to come back to the reservation. You guys told me I would never have to see another. He says, you told me I would never have to see another federal, and now I'm living with your scum. And then, like, you told me that I would never have to do this, and that's completely wrong. So, like, they obviously did him dirty from this deal.
He's been down this road before, basically. I'm fixing my usual native problem of crusty elbows.
It's okay.
Ignore me.
It is, but see, that's the thing. It is yet again just another example of the way that natives in prisons and prison structure and police brutality. It's just another way of the way that natives have been treated shittily.
Exactly. I mean, plus, like, the industrial prison complex is bullshit in general.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's like no accountability and no follow through on what people of color and natives are. I need to back up. I'm very small. And Kim's comment is cutting off my face. So I'm going to probably
You're just going to perch like L.
Yeah, no, literally, I look like a freaking goblin right now because I'm like deep squatting in my chair and I'm like, my precious.
You're like, well, I guess I got to get a new chair.
I've been looking for one, but that's off topic. Anyway, prison industrial complex, bullshit. Everyone is treated like shit in the prison industrial complex. It is free slavery for the government, in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree. 1000% agree. I actually have I have a uncle that's in prison for something that he did not do. I also have one of Peltier who's in prison for something that he didn't do. So like the way that the prison has treated him is really, 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 really shitty. So Richard explains that, and finally he's like, talk to Frank, man. He's the one that set it up. And that's when the light just like dings in Roy's head, and he's like, Frank Coutel was there. And Richard's like, yeah, Frank Coutel was there. And
corrupt government.
Because he's like, well, why don't you just get out of the chair? Because at this point, he's figured it out.
Yeah, he's like, all right, this is bull. Get up.
Yeah. And so when you see him like...
I got out of the chair. It's fine. I'm out of the chair.
Oh.
No, I'm still figuring out my own issues. It's fine. I mean, that's like Angola. At Angola, my uncle... Angola's like the state penitentiary here, and like if you're in, you very rarely get out. My uncle was in Angola, and he worked the fields and made like zero money. It was ridiculous. And my grandfather died in prison.
I think I had my grandfather was also went to prison, which I didn't know. When I was a kid, when they were talking about the pen, I literally thought they meant they were talking about like the place where you hold a pen.
Yeah, no, grandpa's in the pen, and you're like, shit, grandpa, why are you in there? I mean, it's so small.
Literally. So when I finally figured it out, like penitentiary, I was like, this all makes sense.
Yeah.
But when he stood up out of the wheelchair and you saw like his gait and how tall he was and the way that his shoes...
7 feet tall and walks normally, and you're like, what? What just happened? I'm sitting like 6 feet away from my computer, and I don't have my glasses on. So thank you for doing that, because I need to read.
I was going to say I could read it for you.
We're like, California, everybody should move to California. You shouldn't.
I don't want to move to California. I like South Dakota. I like South Dakota in terms of economy, but in terms of like the people, like the red state and how dangerous it is for natives, like I hate it. Like I can't even go on Facebook and talk to friends because like everybody has stupid opinions, and everybody just makes me mad. And I'm like, I'm literally just here for puppy pictures, baby pictures, pictures of books, like books and journals, and that's it. And like maybe to see if somebody died, and then I'm out.
Wait a minute. One of these things is not like the other, Michelle.
Well, that's the thing. When family members post about somebody, they post about them being dead. Like when I found out, like Calvin had to find out about his dad being dead because my sister-in-law posted it on Facebook. I found out about my Uncle Protus being dead through Facebook. I found out about one of my other uncles being dead through Facebook. I had to find out about one of my grandmas dying on Facebook. Like, that's just the place you go to tell people that everyone's dead.
I mean, I get it, because, like, it's so much easier to just make a post and then make constant phone calls, because, I mean, it just keeps reopening the wound, but you can make a post and mute it. But, like, at the same time...
You can't mute it on Facebook. You can on Twitter.
I don't know. You have like broken my brain.
I'm so sorry. Richard, standing up.
That's fine. No. I was going to talk about we were on politics, and I was going to say I live in South Louisiana. not in New Orleans, but I live in Baton Rouge, and I am from rural Louisiana, so you can imagine what my life is like. What? Shut up. Anytime I say shut up, I'm not talking to anybody in this area. I am directing it downstairs at my husband because clearly
over there,
bedroom wall. It's fine. I'm fine. We're fine.
It's okay. It's okay. But yeah, Facebook news is just I don't like Facebook anymore. Like it was cool when I was a teenager, but now that Twitter exists.
You know, when I first got Twitter, it was like, I don't understand why everybody has Twitter. They're just tweeting about like, oh my God, I got ice cream, and I would sit there and I just like tweet thoughts that no one cares about, and I'm just like, it's a downhill spiral, really.
Well, when I got Twitter, I was using it for the Native American Journalists Association conference that I went to. Actually, no, it was called AIJI. My bad. The American Indian Journalism Association conference. It was in like 2011. And so I went and I had to make my own Twitter account because they were like, we're going to have you do tweet pics. And I was like, I don't know what that means. And so we literally had to carry this camera around to get the pictures to go to upload. It was like a phone, but it was like, I think it was a BlackBerry. I don't remember. But there was a thing that we had to go to where it was like a waterfall thing. And the water came up and I went forward and I tripped and I did not want water to get on the phone. And so I tripped and I like totally scraped up literally landed on my elbow. Like my whole body landed on my elbow.
That is a big yikes.
Because I was trying to save the phone.
It's never worth it, Michelle. No, I wish I ended up on Twitter story was that cool. I got to Twitter because I was on Tumblr. I was a One Direction stan. And my friend was like, you need a Twitter. And I was like, oh, well, I'm not comfortable making one. She goes, I'll make it for you. And she did. And that's how I ended up in that household. I mean, go find out what to talk about is One Direction. So that's my shame for the day.
Interesting. Fun times.
Very fun times.
All right, let's go back on topic since we literally have the spoiler thingy right there.
Yeah.
So Richard stands up in the chair and he's like, don't leave. Just stay here. And he finally decides to take Crowhorse with him to go to Red Deer Table.
Mm-hmm.
And the stuff that they see there is ridiculous.
Kind of crazy. Kind of wild.
Because they find out that they're test drilling for uranium. And there's like sealant in the holes. But then, unfortunately, he hears some like wild dogs / like coyotes growling. And they go over to where it is. And they discover Maggie's body.
Yeah, that part always makes me like so sad. Even though I know it's like she's based on a real person, so they kind of had to stick with like her actual storyline of her life. But at the same time, like that was unexpected and hurt my feelings. All three of my feelings were hurt. I can't explain that. I say it all the time.
So the entire time, when I like seen that now, I was like, I actually paused and kind of like looked at her body, and it looked like she had been shot like 3 times and in the head. And it looked like she had actually it kind of looks like she had fought back because you see a part where her lip is cut and you see some like blood on her chin.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh.
And it's one of those things that's hard to watch, and then especially if you stop to analyze it, it really like hurts your feelings. And it sucks that that's the reality.
Which every family has, every Native family has some kind of story where somebody went missing or somebody was murdered or, somebody that they know went through something like that. Like me personally, my auntie Alberta, her daughter went missing and was murdered by 2 men, and they're like out free in the world right now.
Electric chair.
Yeah, he was supposed to get like 100 years, and he only served like, I think it was like 32 years or something like that.
That makes me so angry, Michelle. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about it later in a video, so stay tuned. Kim make a good point.
Kim just makes consistently good points.
Kim is amazing. Like, her channel is so underrated.
I haven't quite found my way to BookTube yet, so unfortunately.
Before you tune into anybody, just tune into Kim's stuff. It's so wholesome and sweet, and her book trailers are like chef's
the
kiss.
only person whose videos I've watched have been Brody's. I don't get on YouTube. I don't really consume a lot of like video media. I don't watch TV really. I just read and listen to audiobooks. That's it. That's all I do.
Brody was the first person that I found on YouTube, and then I found Wheezy, and then it just like slowly grew, and then I found Danny.
Fantastic people to find. Just 2 great people.
Just throwing that out there. Tooting horns. Toot toot. So after that, I think that's the point where he, like, the brick finally snaps, like where he's finally just like, I am done with everybody.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done with you guys. I'm done with this whole thing. Now I'm gonna just explode.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it's like that breaking point. It's the straw that broke the camera's back. Cameras have backs. The camel's back.
Camel. We love you. It's okay.
It's fine. I don't have a working thought in my brain anymore.
So gosh, I'm trying to remember now what happens, because I have notes, but they're really, really sporadic.
They're really vague notes. Like annotating in a book, and you're just like, what happened here? And you're like, I don't know what happened here. I need you to tell me.
So, okay. So after Red Deer Table, and after they find Maggie's body, and he goes back and oh yeah, that's right. Okay. So they go back to
You're fine.
So they go back to Richard's house, remember? They just kind of walked in, and they don't even get like a foot into his like porch.
Yeah.
When they see that the door is open, and they look in, and you just see Richard, and there's like a lot of blood.
Yeah, I mean the end of the movie is very like physically gory. There's a lot of blood, which can be very triggering for a lot of people. But I mean, it definitely goes into the reality of being like an informant for like any type of organization like that, and it's just awful because Richard didn't deserve to die. Maggie sure shit didn't deserve to die. But it's just like, all right, you screwed us over, so there goes your life. Excuse me.
Well, the thing is that when you do see Richard's body, it pans to the right, and you see a circle that it says arm on it. And personally, like, that was not, I don't think that was an arm thing.
I don't think arm would do that, personally. Just doesn't seem like the brand. But
I don't. After watching that and seeing it so many times, I'm just like, I don't think that arm did that.
Yeah, I think that was like a very subtle, this was a frame job type thing. It's like a way to keep the FBI clean. In regards to like that murder in the movie. And I mean, if you catch it and you analyze it enough, you're just like,
And before, so they they kind of look around and then they go back, and as they're coming out of the porch, they see two vehicles coming from either side. And they slowly, like, I just love that, where they slowly walk to the car and then you just see them like shooting off. And then I loved when Walter Kohlhorst just jumps on the car and slides, and his hair just.
I love those kinds of. I mean, first of all, the hair is. Majestic.
The hair was everything. The hair like checked all those boxes on my native fantasies. Like just seeing my hair like slide across the car, just.
I mean, I love the scenes where they have like people slide across cars like that, because it's so just like visually pleasing and very like, I wish I was that athletic, but I would do that and break both my knee and my neck at the same time.
There's people secretly in the comments that are just like, Michelle has problems.
You don't though. I mean, you find Graham Greene attractive, and there's nothing wrong with
that movie specifically.
Oh, in that movie specifically?
Remember, because we talked about now he looks like an old man potato.
Not we. You. You said he looks like a baked potato.
I said he looks like a potato.
No, don't put a we on a you thing.
But you slightly agreed.
I did no such thing. You have no proof.
That is true. I do have no proof.
He looks like a cute old man. He looks like someone's very nice, sweet grandpa.
That is true. You did say that. I'm not saying I don't think he's a sweet, nice grandpa. I just think he looks kind of like a potato.
What I said was about Val Kilmer and the ribbon shirt he was wearing. And I was like, I don't know what it is about the way he's posing with his head down like this. But it looks like he got a couple of screws loose.
I'm like, who let him wear those pajamas? Like, what was that? Why?
The pants were, I think it would have been fine if he would have been wearing black slacks in that picture, because the shirt was actually really nice. It was the pants for me. I couldn't rock with the pants.
He's not a circus clown.
He's not. He's a very respectable
nice old man.
Val Kilmer does look like a really nice old man.
Okay, so we're off topic here. Sorry, I just brought up Graham Greene and his butt and things.
His butt?
Well, seriously, he's sliding across the car.
We were talking about his butt. We were talking about his hair.
We were talking about his hair. His hair is pretty. What the heck does he use for his hair products?
I don't know. Something that is no longer in production, I guess.
In production. Well, if it was Tresemme is still a thing. Or
somebody have Graham Greene's people talk to our people. That way we can know. Please.
I have a slight idea that I'll just send him an email and be like, hey, listen.
Look, not when you were
filming, upon the filming of Thunderheart, what exactly were you using on your hair? I would love to.
In the early 90s. Please let us know so we can use them.
I would love to achieve the same results. Be like, I'm ignoring this email.
All of us would be like, stalker? All right.
Ignore. Delete.
Spam.
So, after that, that's when everything really comes to the hilt. And it's like the last 20 minutes of the movie where they just start driving.
Just go.
Yeah, they just start driving, and what's his name? The council guy? Isn't he like the head council? What's his name? Milton?
Sounds right, but I could be wrong.
His title, they said what his title was in the very beginning, but I can't remember it because I didn't care because I don't like him.
That's fair. If you give me 1 second. Oh, wait. Are you talking about the guy that sent him on assignment?
No, I'm talking about the guy that wears the black hat.
Yeah, I don't remember his name.
Okay. So Milton and Kutel are in the same vehicle, and Kutel is trying to talk. He's trying to talk Lavoy down, and they're heading to somewhere because like they were driving on a road, and you see the blockade. There's like 4 or 5 cars that are just waiting, and Ray and I love there's a remember that part where he turns to Crowhorse and he's just like, put your seatbelt on, and Crowhorse is just like, he goes to reach for his seatbelt and he's just like, and then they decide to make a turn.
Why do I need to put my seatbelt on? Give me context.
and then he puts his hand on the dash and they're just like swinging around. They just
fly through the car. It's like one of those Buicks with a bench seat.
Exactly. And so Ray takes a sharp right into like just dirt, like the ditch right up into the planes and whatnot, and starts driving, and they're following him, and they're like, where is he going? And the whole time I was thinking to myself, how did you guys shoot this scene? Like, were there any like holes in places where you were worried, or was this in a studio?
When scenes like that are filmed, if it's filmed on location, they always have scouts that go out and look at the path they're going to take, and they also have stunt drivers that do the driving. So the scenes you see the cars actually driving in, those are going to be stunt drivers who are probably race car drivers or something like that, or that are used to going those speeds over like different types of terrains. But when you get in the car shots, it's typically done in the studio, and they have a truck in front of them. When you get it from the front, they'll have a truck in front of them with a camera and a Steadicam that's catching the movement of the car, and there'll be cars driving on the side with Steadicams out the door and then behind them as well. It's really involved. It's very hard to film cars.
Okay. Thanks for giving some context there, because I was like, how?
Yeah, it's difficult. There are like videos on YouTube where you can watch like how they film like chase scenes and stuff. Pretty cool.
Nice. So as they're doing the chase scene, he brings out his he's got his radio, and also, did you notice the product placement for Motorola?
Time. Product placement in movies is my favorite thing, because everything else will be turned to the side and they're like, a fresh Pepsi, a candle, and you're like, I get it. You want me to buy this?
Well, remember they had that Coke machine, and then they had you saw the Motorola walkie, and he pulls out his tape and he starts playing it, where he talks about Richard's confession about the fact that Frank Kutel was there, and you just see Milton looking at Kutel like, what? And remember the part where Graham Greene's character just like lowers his shades and he's like,
yeah, it's like the universal. I think Graham Greene is the unsung hero of Thunderheart, honestly.
Val
Kilmer, Ray Lavoy, and you're like, Graham Greene is right there. Right there. Acknowledge him.
You have this beautiful, beautiful man with all of his flowing locks, and then you're going to look at Val Kilmer.
Okay. Both in their own respects, let's be real. We keep getting off topic.
Sorry. Okay. In it, to win it. Fight. Okay. So they're
because all of our phone calls are like 3.5 hours.
Yeah. Well, we're getting there. We're almost to the end, I promise.
Hey, please.
Okay. So they're driving, and they're heading towards Red Deer Table, and it is basically a wall, and he's driving, and then they smash into like a crevice of like a rock crevice, and then they get out and they're running, and then it shows like everybody's like, it's a standoff basically.
Yeah.
And
like classic Western style.
And you even see like the way that Ray's body is like shaking because he's so.
It goes, kind of breaks through his character in a way that it's like he's now scared of the men he works with. He's scared for his life, his friend's life, the life of his people. And like I said earlier, his character development throughout the entire movie is just A+. 10 out of 10, chef's kiss.
Yeah, it was great. So, and Ray is like, they're trying to talk Ray down, and Ray's like, this land is not for sale. And like explains exactly what's happening and like calling him out on his bullshit and like, why did you have to do that to Maggie? And there's this part that I love, like it's like at the almost the very end, where the goons and like the FBI agents are like the cops and are pointing their guns at Ray and Crowhorse, and you just see like out of nowhere, you just see like tons and tons and tons of people that also pointed their guns at the opposition, and that was very symbolic. And so that was like one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, I agree.
This land is not for sale, and you finally see them come out of the woodwork, and they're like,
land back, boo, land back.
Like Grandpa Sam was there too. And then it stops, and then you see them you see them at Maggie's headstone and asking him what he's doing next. And it looks like, this is the part where he's like saying goodbye and he's leaving and the movie is wrapping up. And he asks him what he's going to do next. And he's like, well, I'm going to look at like Maggie's contacts, and I'm going to contact some people and see where the media can take it. And then that really sweet part where he's like, there's no word in Sioux for goodbye.
Yeah.
Because there isn't.
That's like with Cherokee. There's no word in Cherokee for goodbye. We have until we meet again, which I cannot say correctly, so I won't even go for it.
Well, we always say see you later. Like my Uncle Jake, when he was alive, that was his thing. Like if he was leaving or we were leaving, we never said bye, because we believe that if you say goodbye, it means that you're actually saying goodbye, like goodbye forever. So we're always like, see you later, talk to you later, like that.
Exactly.
And then I thought that was really cute how he took his res puppy with him.
How can you not? Come on.
Because you just see the puppy in the sign. I was like, oh.
He's just chilling, and you're like, there you go. It's the rest of their life. I think we all were.
Because it felt so final.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely does. I mean, the first time I watched it, I was just like a mess because I'm like super sensitive.
We love the res puppy. Res puppy deserves rights.
They all deserve rights.
True.
I had a friend ask me one time, they were like, do res dogs actually eat people? I'm like, well, if you die on the side of the road, they're going, food is food, but also, where did you hear that?
Yeah, where?
I don't know. They didn't have an answer.
If anything, they'll just bite you or growl at you or tell you, like, hey, don't look at me.
I was like, when you say eat people, do you mean alive or like you've died, no one's found you, it's been 2 months, and they're hungry?
Literally.
Like, what's the context here? I was like, I can't answer that question.
So then, I kind of like the ending because, yeah, that.
I agree.
That was great.
It's just such a powerful scene.
It really is.
Because it really shows that, like, fortified sense of community, you know?
Well, and also you see, like, I like how it pans behind them because you also see, like, the ladders and all of the cars and, like, how exactly they got up on the rocks.
Yeah.
Like, they wouldn't do that for just anybody. They did it for somebody. They did it for their people.
Yeah, exactly.
Because at that point, I think that the community had claimed him.
Yeah. I mean, that's really important. And I think that's like something that we understand as natives, that in that moment he had been claimed and he was like welcomed into, you know, his family, his community. Whereas a lot of people are like, oh, they're just protecting the land. And they're like, no, they were protecting Ray and Crow Horse and everything.
Yeah, exactly. And then when he's driving, it kind of it feels very bittersweet because of the way that he drives. And, you know, it's been like, I don't know what, like 5 days a week where
it was so much longer than that when you watch the movie.
I know it feels like at least like 6 months, but it was literally like a week. And you just see the way he's at the crossroads. Like, you see the highway and you see like the cars going by him, and
it's very symbolic of like the choice he has to make in life. Like, does he go back to what he knew, or does he go through and follow like the path of like helping his people, basically?
Exactly. And so you just see that like behind him is the reservation and like the things that he knew versus like the unknown.
Yeah.
And that is also something that is very prevalent in like Native families, that like Native kids that grew up on the reservation, where coming to the city is actually really hard for them. They sometimes certain universities have certain programs to help acclimate kids to city life versus like reservation life. So like one person that really helped me was my cousin Tiffany. Like, she lived on the reservation her whole life, and then when she came to Aberdeen, it was kind of like rough for her, but like she was one of those like pinnacle people that was like, you're one of us, and like we're gonna protect you. And so that was really nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about this the other day, but I grew up urban, so I don't really have like, I have family on the res on my dad's side, like, but I don't have any experience living on the res, so I can't ever answer those questions or come from that point of view. But I've spoken to my friends that have gone from being, you know, res natives to city natives, basically, and it's hard. It's like moving to a whole different country. It's like that quote in Smoke Signals where it's like, you better bring your passport because, you know, you're going to the United States, which is as foreign as it gets.
Yeah, I like that. Just The Smoke Signals is a good movie, but you know.
Smoke Signals is a fantastic movie.
Exactly. So it ends that way, and so we're at the end.
We did it! Almost 2 hours later, we're there.
Well, I mean, the movie is like, it literally would have been like if you'd watched the movie, because the movie is an hour and 59 minutes.
We're just 10 minutes shorter. But yeah, like Michelle said, if you have any like favorite parts, or if you have any kind of like
any discussion topics that you have, just put them down below, because
I mean, let's give somebody else a moment to bring something up.
Anytime.
Please. It's like, don't be afraid to, I swear to God, if this chair breaks while I'm sitting in it, I'm going to start crying. I told you at the beginning of this live to not do that to me. He's just going to ignore me like he didn't say anything. It's just so rude.
I think in the next 10 minutes, my husband's going to be like, I'm going to bed.
Calvin's going to be in. Hi, I'm Ben. And you're going to be like, okay, have fun.
I'll be like, well, you go ahead and do your thing. Whatever.
Sorry,
and then
was texting me about winter counts. Like, somebody I went to high school with sent me a message, and they were like, "I saw this on Book of the Month. It made me think of you. Is that offensive to say?" And I was like, "No, first of all, and second, thank you."
Oh yeah, I just saw him announce that like today that it's going on.
Yeah. They have two. Betty, my favorite book of the year, by Tiffany McDaniel. Like Betty by Tiffany McDaniel is on there as well, because that came up with my friends. I'm like, do we have different dashboards or what?
Not gonna lie, that was a little scary.
What, my husband going, what?
Yeah.
What happened? He's playing Overwatch right now with his
Like there was nothing, and then I heard that, and I was like, "Well, I'm having nightmares for the rest of my life."
Oh no, you're about to hear like some really random sounds start coming out of his mouth. I might force him to come upstairs and say hi if he keeps it up.
Well, see, I was telling my husband how long this was going to be, and I was like, I think it's going to be like an hour and a half tops. We're past tops.
Do you know us, Michelle? I
agree. I love Kim's comment. Look, bro.
I saw it.
Sorry.
Don't fuss at me, ma'am.
I'm not fussing. I promise. I promise.
No, I completely agree with Kim.
I just wasn't sure if you'd seen it.
No, I read it and I said I agree. Because I do. I mean, there's no other way to say it. It was community. It was the community saying this is what we're done with and we're not going to do it anymore.
That was your excellent point. Okay. So, might as well talk about what we're going to be reading next.
Yeah. You know, I think I have it written down somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you don't.
Am I going to be able to reach it or I'm going to fall?
If you fall, no offense, I'm going to laugh.
I would laugh too. Okay. It's just because I'm wearing shorts and I don't want people to see my legs.
Why? What's wrong with your legs?
Nothing is wrong with my legs. Okay, anyway. So we are going to be reading dun 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 dun. Oh, yeah, that part was good. So dun 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 dun.
I don't have a copy of it yet, but I'm getting there.
It's okay.
I still need to check with my library, like I said I was going to do. But yeah, so we're doing Race to the Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse, which is kind of like a middle grade novel. So if you have middle grade age kids, this would be a good time to have them partake in a book club.
And it looks very nice without the dust jacket too.
That's my favorite color.
I think this is a green font, which I don't really like that, but I wish it was purple.
Ooh, purple would have been a lot, but or like a really nice blue.
Because it looks yellow, but it's actually, oh, there we go. It's green.
Oh, that's actually not bad. That because it kind of reads more gold.
But it has purple papers.
See, I like that. I just sprayed. No, you just have your little.
No, those are my tabs.
I don't know how to tab.
Well, I tapped how many? Like every 50 pages.
Excuse me. I'm also excited for it.
Yeah, I'm reading that too.
I haven't cracked the cover of it yet, or really read any of it, but I loved the Trail of Lightning series. So I have really high expectations for Black Sun. Hello? Okay, the cats are like curled up in a ball on each other. It's quite cute. Almost stepped on them both, trying to grab the book. Yikes.
And then we're also going to be watching it's called Real Engines. You can find it on
I think it's on Tubi now, right?
Yes, it's on Tubi for free.
You can find it on Tubi, I think Google Play or YouTube maybe, but it's free on Tubi. It's a documentary that focuses on Native representation in Hollywood. And I still can't remember the director's name for Smoke Signals, but he directs it. And it's quite good. It's It's quite the eye-opener.
We've both seen it. It's really good.
Quite delicious documentary. But yeah, the physical arts of Black Sun are really pretty. I love it. I wish everyone who's promised a physical copy could have got one.
I got mine from Saga pretty maybe like a month and a half ago.
I had a bookstagrammer that Aaron connected me with send me this copy.
That's super nice of them, considering the struggles we had just to get it. And then also, the shade that we...
Don't get me started on that again, please.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, we might have viewers on here that, are... Anyway, yeah. So, we are going to be... Wow, I put it away and now I'm... Okay. So, we're going to be reading Race to the Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. Mm-hmm. And we're also going to be watching Real Engines via Tubi. So, yeah.
So we're super excited to do that with y'all. Next month we'll probably be doing do you want to do the movie earlier in the month or the book?
Probably the movie because
so we'll do the movie first because it's a little more accessible in such a short amount of time. And then we'll kind of towards the end of the month, like today, probably around the same time, do the book. That way everyone has time to get their copies.
I think it's like the 26th.
Yeah, I think we're going to do the 26th for it. So
and we'll have it at like 7?
Yeah, around the same time. I feel like this time works for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll keep y'all updated on that via Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, I'll probably make a video announcement when we have cemented details because we're also trying to plan some other projects. So
we have planners full of things that we're doing.
We really do. Mine has Stranger Things on it.
Oh, that's cute. Mine, I got it at CVS. Kim, please be safe.
Yeah, be safe, Kim. We love you.
And that's pretty much what it is. All my Bookstagram crap is in here.
Kim is the real MVP.
Do what?
Kim is the real MVP.
She really is. Watch that whole thing in the car. God bless her.
Seriously, yeah. All right, so we're going to be wrapping up here. And thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for enduring this 2-hour discussion. We literally were like, oh, it's going to be an hour and a half tops. We are past tops. So we are so grateful for you.
I have notes.
Yes.
I'll stay on topic.
Well, that was my fault too. Mostly my fault.
That's fine. We're both at fault.
Maybe 90% my fault, 10% your fault.
Okay, I'll accept it.
It's a good exception. Yeah.
All right.
So, thank you so much for joining us, Alexis. You are the new co-host, so we will be seeing your wonderful cute face a lot more. And you should check her out on Instagram because her mustard aesthetic is chef's kiss.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Try to bring some sunshine to the feed.
Alrighty.
Well, that's a wrap, y'all.
It is a wrap. We are gonna go. Thank you for joining us. Okay. Bye-bye.
Hi, friends.